I was born in a Christian family and my parent tried hard to teach us the way of the Lord. My problem is that I was not interested in the way of God. I grew up in a borough where youngsters were deeply in music and fashion. During my youth I followed many ways of life. I even became a musician thanks to my big brother who was in a popular band of the city. When a friend of mine became a DJ we went to support him in the bar where we were celebrating. Back then I was nicknamed Son of Satan. I was called that way because I did not want to serve God. We were in the bar drinking and Franco music was playing. I loved the song so much that I paid so that the song will be replayed. It is when my friend was sleeping and when I began to sleep in the bar, that suddenly I heard a voice saying to me, "My son Aston, you are a Christian, this is not your life." I looked at the person who was talking and I saw a man dressed in white walking through space with an appearance of crystal. His eyes were like fire and his voice like the roar of great waters. He shone like polished brass. My dear brothers and sisters, believing it was a dream not reality, I asked my friends about the person I saw in space. Unfortunately for them they thought it was drunkenness that made me talk. I tried to get them to see the Lord. As nobody could believe me, I said to this character, "I am not a Christian and I cannot be." Dear friends, I was part of the Society of Ambiancers and Elegant People. I said to this man who shone, "I believe in the doctrine of fashion and elegance. There is no place for you." He persisted and said, "You are a Christian and that's not your life." When he raised his voice I couldn't resist, wanting to get up. I don't know what happened and found myself outside. It was then that fear gripped me and realized that it was a divine being whom I encountered, and through this, the knowledge of spiritual beings came to me. The world is not limited. I remember that my mother was interceding and crying in prayer for my conversion and she was sowing seed all the time for the salvation of my soul. Often when we were doing music practice she would turn up and kneel down and tell me, "This is not your life, you will serve God, not even a small voice of yours will be heard in secular music." As a result of her declaration, every time we went to studios my voice had problem and I could not sing. Parent must intercede for their children and put God words in them. When I got home I was like crazy, talking to myself along the way, saying, "Lord, if you want me to become a Christian then I will keep my way of life while going to church." That's how I got home and prayed all night, confessing and repenting from all my sins. That same night all heathen language disappeared. I began to utter healthy words. In the morning my friends having come, didn't believe it was me with my new posture. Nobody believed in my new conversion, but when we meet Jesus life changes because he is the only one who can transform the identity of a person. My early Christian life was not easy. There were so many problems that I faced, such as health, etc. Throughout my journey I had small visions and a voice accompanied them to signify me. The great experience will begin a year after I was established by God as a prophet of the Sacred Church Chapel of God, and this is the beginning of the journey of the mysteries. This is how things went. On March 27, 2013 I was praying and I felt a light radiate in the audience. Out of curiosity, in wanting to watch, I fell into ecstasy and heard a voice that called me and said, "My son, know that you have been chosen by God to bear witness of the things of which thou shalt see. You and me, we are going to do a trip to hell for you to write and witness to the world. This place actually exists. You will save many men from ignorance of darkness so that those who perish may return to knowledge of the truth. Your questioning will be certain. You will say that hell is not an illusion. Thousands and millions of souls are there. You will see a terrible punishment for those who have voluntarily chosen the path of bewilderment. These things will remain etched in your heart." During this time, I thought it was a dream and I said to myself, "What is that great vision?" I opened my eyes after I got up. I was surprised to see my body in two, one lying down and the other stands beside. I could not understand and imagine such thing. I had to rub my eyes to see if it was a dream or it was a reality. For this purpose, I started to touch the body which was lying down, but it was impossible. Everything accessible has become untouchable to me. There was no way to touch the materials world. But despite this state, I had all my senses. I felt fear. I saw people sleeping, trying to touch and make them wake up, but in vain because they could not hear me or feel me. I tried to open the door without success and I immediately found myself outside screaming for help, but no one listened to my voice. When I was in the complex I found myself headed into the next house trying to wake them up, but to no avail. I had no more contact between all that is material. Certainly I could listen to what people say, but they could not listen to me. Oh beloved, what are you waiting for? One day you may find yourself in this state. And it might be too late. John 3:16. I had a spiritual form, Job 32:8, so I was wandering asking for help and no one was listening because it was late. All this was happening in the spirit because my body had remained lying at home. In the alleys I saw people running here and there, shouting, "Why did you bury me? I'm not dead." I saw a small child cry out the name of his father and his mother for the burial of his body. He claimed to be still alive though dead. I was amazed. Approaching the child to inquire, I asked him the question to know what was going on. He said to me, "I had fallen ill and afterwards my parents went to bury my body, and since then I don't have a place to reside." He continued on his way at an incredible speed, remaining on place, amazed that a person could live after death. In continuing my journey I did not know where to go. It was then that I met a girl sitting on a portal. She too had the same story as this child. I told the girl, "If you're dead it's not the case for me, I live again," but deep inside I felt that there was something wrong. Nothing was precious to me except getting into my usual body. I also continued on my way, but strange thing, there were houses which were covered with fire. In front of the doors and windows were flaming swords for protection. There were also legions of angels at the top of the houses of the saints. They were protected by angels of God, who are composed of those who assume the defense and the others. The wizards could not pass over. Obadiah 1 verses 18. And the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them, and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord hath spoken it. The other houses also had fire, but the doors and windows were open. The sorcerers could enter. Then I heard a voice telling me that these Christians have committed sins. When there are disputes and quarrels in your houses, disharmony, children do not obey their parent, you watch unhealthy things on television, all this gives access to the enemy and the angels will not be able to secure your homes. Let us keep our holy houses. There were also houses that had no roof or window, not even a door. Similar to a building site, wizards had free access as they entered and left peacefully. These are houses where sins dominate and evil controls. Many are landmarks of wicked spirits. Revelation 18 verse 2, fallen. Babylon the Great has fallen. She has become a home for demons, a prison for every unclean spirit. I said to myself, in the existence of men I have never seen what I am experiencing. I did not give up the hope of finding my body. The idea of going back to my family was born in my heart. As soon as I arrived I tried to wake my parents, my brothers and sisters, but in vain because none of them could listen to my voice. As before I was again on the street again. I saw souls mourning their beloved for the burial of their bodies. I took the direction of the bypass road which took me to the interchange, and I met a famous gospel singer who died long ago. He was screaming aloud, "I am not dead, why did you bury me? I have now become a wandering spirit and I have no place to go." I was stunned to see this singer, and I began to call him to talk to him about what I was experiencing, but he was running in great speed. He said, "Oh, what is my fate? I had everything in the world, I had money and I had the possibility to travel everywhere. Woe to me, I have played with God. Woe to me, how will I end? Where will I go?" Since they had buried my body, I had so much consideration. This was a respected minister, but when I saw him crying and complaining that he had no place to go, I felt I was in trouble. If a great man like him was in such confusion and hopelessness, I knew that I was in trouble. Since I was confused and I was looking for help, I kept following him. Maybe he would advise me what to do to return in my body. When I reached him I told him, "Man of God, please help, I want to return in my body." He looked at me and exclaimed, "Oh, I have played with God. I had everything in life and travel opportunity, but today I am in this situation where I am dead. They had buried my body. I don't know where to go." I made fun of God. The glory, the wealth, I got them without thinking of my soul. He was so much hopeless and in confusion that he continued his journey running all over the city. I said, "Oh God, even him, such a man that shook the country with his song, really I am doomed and finish." Matthew 16:29. Your soul is more precious, it is more important. People are fighting for marriage, for wealth and possession. But vanity upon vanity and pursuit of the wind. Stunned, I didn't know what to do. Who could help me? My brothers, dear friends, we know that after death man goes to his judgment. Hebrews 9 verse 27. And inasmuch as it is appointed unto men once to die, and after this judgment, but several dead people we think have left the earth still live among us. It was then that I continued my journey to a church at 17th Street, well known in the country, and I ran into the enclosure for rest. Inside the church on the podium there was a human skull spitting blood. To my surprise there were souls bound in chains sitting on the floor. These people were guarded by soldiers that were 4 meters long. These soldiers were holding javelin and they were cold-blooded. They were keeping these souls. I tried to talk to these souls that were in bondage. I saw that they were crying. Quickly I heard the voice of the Lord telling me, not all churches are good, not all churches are churches of God. There are people that are bound in chains because of churches that they attend. Many people have their souls captured because of churches they attend. That is why many people are not seeing the hand of God, because they are bound where they go to pray. They will always wonder and they will cry, if you stay in this church you will be captured like these souls that you see in bondage. But I questioned these souls to find out why are they bound and who bound them in this way. The first did not answer me, so I came to understand though it is a church community that has congregations all over the world, all those who go to pray there are doomed. My eyes could still see demons dressed in military attire standing and guard souls of these members that were in chains. These demons were holding pitchforks. When they saw me, they were disturbed and they wanted at all costs to know what was the purpose of my presence here. And as they approached me, I fled for fear of being captured. I thought I would find help in the churches, but the voice said to me, you must know that so many churches are not of God, they are centers of recollection of lost souls. They teach a way to my people to their own ruin, they cling to fables. 1 Timothy 4 verse 1-2. Now the Holy Spirit tells us clearly that in the last times some will turn away from the true faith. They will follow deceptive spirits and teachings that come from demons. These people are hypocrites and liars, and their consciences are dead. I took the road that led to the city center. In the pursuit of my adventure, on the crossing of the 2 avenues, I met a group of naked men, gossiping, having jugs filled with human blood. They had in their suite a man bound with rope around the neck like an animal, led to the butchery. These men were in wizardry. At every step they professed words of curse. When I looked again I saw that these people that were naked had horn on their head. There was a demon leading these witches. He was dressed in black. I saw that the demon that was the leader of these wizards was carrying a pot containing human blood. It was evident that I was actually in the spirit world seeing what normal men cannot see. I saw that these naked wizards were dragging a man that was tied all over the body. This captive was also bound on the neck with a chain like a dog. He was dragged like a dog in the street and he was moving in 4 legs. I heard him saying, "Oh my wife, you who are a Christian, rise up and pray for me your husband. These people have captured my soul and they are taking my soul to destruction. Please my wife, I don't go to church like you, but please wake up and pray for me. I beg you, mother of my children, bad things are happening to me." These wizards replied to this captive, "Keep quiet and shut up, your wife is not coming." As these horned people were dragging this man, I told them, "Now you gonna stop this, what are you doing to this man? You got to release this captive." The one who seemed to be the leader looks at me and says, "Pay no attention to him, let's move on." This demon and the witches ignore me and they move on dragging this captive with them. As they move forward I decided to follow them. I was telling them, "You gonna release this man." These people led him to a plot and in the middle there was a tree. There they hanged him. They began their incantations and the man lower part had become like a goat. They cried out for joy seeing that the man was transformed to a goat and they slew him, butchered his body and they share his flesh, and I saw them consuming his flesh, and they devour his all body. When I saw this horrendous scene I feared, and I ran away for fear of being devoured by these witches.